everybody, and welcome in on a Wednesday Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. Wednesday means it's time to talk with former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli, who joins us, and it's always great to see him. Scar, what's up, man? How are you?
Things are good. We keep getting good news, Danny. Sometimes good news for the Wolverines is when bad things happen in East Lansing, like losing their top receiver, the biggest offensive threat they had last year. So that's good news. I think losing Peyton Thorne is big, I think.
Well, we will get to that. You see on the screen, if you're watching, if you're listening on the podcast, let me read and tell you the things that we'll be getting to. Yeah, Scar talked about MSU football. We'll get his thoughts on what transpired, the attrition up in East Lansing. We've got some spring game video. I like it for the both information, education, and entertainment aspect of it, what Scar has been bringing over the past few weeks. Meanwhile, Michigan may be adding a cornerback. I think they would like to. We'll tell you all about that. It happens almost every week. We have a Deion Sanders update, and we'll get to that again. But we'll start with just asking Scar about this past weekend, where Michigan had 9 players drafted and only Alabama and Georgia had more. So I don't know how you look at it. I looked at it like it was a great weekend for Michigan. They were in the spotlight. The players were in the spotlight. Everything looked good for Michigan. Michigan the last 2 years, they've been a top 4 program, finishing in the top 4 in the college football playoff on the field. And then where they're at in recruiting right now, is number 1. So that's going well. And then, this is another thing where you're like, hey, they're finishing in the, and in this case, the top 3 with players drafted. So all good, it looked like to me, for the Maize and Blue.
Yeah, you start with, Mozzie. That was great. He doesn't make a lot of tackles, but they understand the guy is a brick. He plays his technique. He doesn't get knocked out of there. And he was rewarded for being, just developing him as a player. And he was a highly recruited kid.
Yeah.
But, and it's good to see Scooney go. We want to start getting these tight ends going. Every year we're going to have them. We got 4 on the roster that fit right into that Scooney model that could continue that. But I think, Jim's been to the Super Bowl, man. And I think there's a lot of programs that like Michigan guys. They know they're getting team guys. They're getting great attitude guys. They might not always be the most highly recruited guys like Alabama, Georgia. We're getting there. This class is appearing to be there. But he develops them. They're team guys. They're great attitude guys. They're coached up. They do a lot of things offensively, defensively, to challenge our guys mentally. So I think, you take a Michigan guy, you're getting a great attitude guy, a team guy, and it's going to continue. And it just helps recruiting then too, when you keep getting these guys drafted. Somebody sent me a stat. Michigan for 85 years in a row now has had someone drafted. 85 years in a row they've had someone drafted. Another stat, Danny, I don't know if you share this on your show. Jim Harbaugh has had 19 since he's been at Michigan, 3-star and below. 19 3-star and below players get drafted. 19 3-star and below. That tells you he's recruiting maybe some diamonds in the rough, but he's developing them. We're developing them. We're great teachers of technique. We're doing a great job in the weight room. We're developing team guys, and the pros see it.
Yeah, you just clicked in good, Scar, there. We had a little bit of that feedback that we were talking about, but then I think you just broke through on it. And I think it's with you talking about Michigan here. We can sit around talking about Michigan in the draft and all of that all day long. Every time you say something, it kind of has something else that springs up in my mind. It shows you just how winning and what it can do for you. And even though this isn't necessarily winning, getting guys in the draft, previous to J.J. McCarthy, the charge against Jim Harbaugh, number 1 was that he wasn't able to beat Ohio State, and that was preventing so many things. And that was true. He was pretty good, but he couldn't beat Ohio State. That was blocking Michigan from a lot of the things. And then we saw what happened the last 2 years. But the other thing is that when you looked at his career previous to the the last 2 years, the thing is that Jim Harbaugh was having a hard time developing certain players, specifically the quarterback position. He couldn't develop his own. He couldn't do it when he was bringing in transfers. And it was a very odd thing because obviously when he was coming in with his background, he had Andrew Luck, and you go through what happened with him at San Francisco, and it was like this is the guy that is the person that you would want for a quarterback. But all of that has changed now, and here you are, talking about, hey, Michigan's developing players, and they are. I mean, I'm not saying you're right, they are doing it, but it's been a shift. It hasn't always been like this, but right now, everything's firing right now. I think is the thing.
Yeah, Danny, I think though quarterback. I don't want to talk about the past, but I think sometimes quarterback, you get a real good run game. You get guys that can pass protect. You got receivers, and you got to have the great. I think Jim finally has a better scheme. He's not asking so much of his quarterbacks, I think, to win a football game. We have our scheme is more difficult to defend, I think. So I think that helps put it takes pressure off of the quarterback and what we've asked them to do in, I think, Jim's early years.
Yeah, well, I also wonder, with you talking about the draft, there's a lot of analytics that go into it, like with all sports and even into the draft. And some of the hallmarks of, I say, folks, you don't like what I say, folks, people that analyze the draft, whether it's media or coaches or anything else, that they look at it from an analytical side. A couple of the things that are their points about taking players early in the draft, the guys that you get 5 years with the first round, they don't like you taking a run stop defensive tackle. That's what the Cowboys did with Mozzie Smith. They also don't like you taking running backs because of the positional value. And then we saw,
Danny, I think they think guys like Mozzie Smith are a dime a dozen, easy to find, but I think Mozzie is exceptional. And I think, talking about the Lions real quick, Danny, they took a guy. I think the Lions, he's a Donovan Edwards type guy. I think you're seeing more and more NFL teams. You're seeing more and more of it in college where they want a guy they can line up in the backfield and hand the ball to him. He can make some things happen between the tackles, but he can also, you can split him out, and now linebackers got to cover him. And he's a problem on the matchups. That's what I think the Lions saw in the kid they drafted. And I think that's what, that's why Donovan Edwards is a real problem for a matchup. And our coaches are smart to use them like that. So I think a lot of it is, what are these pro teams looking for? And maybe those guys are hard to find, the Donovan Edwards or the kid that the Lions took.
Yeah, maybe they looked at San Francisco giving up, their front office and John Lynch and what Kyle Shanahan's doing as a coach. They're looking at, as one of the front runners and what's going on in professional football. And then everybody's saying, don't take a running back, don't invest too much in a running back. And then they go out and get Christian McCaffrey, and so everybody's like, wait a second, kind of wide receiver running back. And, that is the Donovan Edwards, Jahmyr Gibbs type. So, you're always looking and chasing things like that. Funny enough is that the other position that the analytics say don't take the run stopping defensive tackle, don't take the running back, and don't take a linebacker, like middle linebacker, like the Lions took in Campbell. But, it's like so the Lions went with against the grain with two of their picks. And,
then you got to ask yourself, who's saying that? Did you hear that from a guy like Dungy? Probably not. Let's talk to again. I'm now part of the media, but when I got to understand the source. And when I hear a guy like Gruden and Dungy, or even, I know you're not a big Rex Ryan guy, but when I hear a former coach say those things about what is easy to find or hard to find, or why I shouldn't take a linebacker, or why I shouldn't take a run, then it might have more credibility. But that's just me. I don't know.
Well, Rex Ryan's always sticking his foot in his mouth. That's the problem. But the thing with analytics, I mean, yeah, you can drive yourself crazy. I know in baseball with the Tampa Bay Rays, as well as they're doing, what they did a couple of years ago in the World Series was, egregious. And, they follow the computer to a T more than anybody else. Some of it makes sense where you're thinking about, well, the money you invest in a first round and getting a fifth year, and you look at the value of the position. Do you want a running back there? Do you want the linebacker there? Do you want the defensive tackle when the quarterback, defensive end, uh, corner, even safety, these are the more valuable positions. So, it's not really about old school, new school. A lot of it is managing the money, managing the cap, and managing your situation. And so you got to listen to some of that. I mean, you can be the greatest coach of all time, but if you're not listening to the budget part of it, you can end up looking up at everybody else.
Yeah,
But
let me also say this, Denny. This is, people are, I'm sure they're aware of it. Just want to mention it. I got recruited, a long time ago in the early 80s. And when I took 6 visits, and none of them really talked about pro football. It wasn't really a factor in what they were selling. I go visit, I've been on a lot of campuses now in the last 10 years, a lot of different places, Oklahoma's, I've been to Florida's, and Alabama's, and you go into their football facility, and they're going to have pro football. They're going to have a whole section on the players they have in the NFL, coaches they have in the NFL, and they are selling the NFL. So it's a change that has slowly, been a bigger factor in recruiting, and Michigan's right there. Michigan has a whole section on it now. So when a kid comes on a recruiting visit, they're seeing that stuff. We're putting these guys in the NFL. We got coaches here in the NFL, and hey, it's a reality, and it matters. It matters in recruiting.
I like it. Anything else that jumped out to you when you looked at the draft and Michigan putting 9 players in there? Clearly the specialist, having both a kicker and a punter be drafted, that doesn't happen to too many teams throughout the history of football. So, that was kind of cool for U of M having that happen, in addition, to the 7 other players that were selected. So
yeah, Ronnie Bell going late, and some of those guys going late, and it's just it's good. It's great to have so many guys go. We had a couple guys get the call the next day. That's what happened to me. I got the call the next day as a free agent, and the phone was ringing, and I'm sure those guys had a few options, and so in some ways has its advantages going as a free agent.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you get to pick the place that you're going to go. You get to look. Hopefully, you get to pick the place that you're going to go, and hopefully, it's a spot where you get a chance. There've been, it's not. It's sort of a long shot to think that you're going to be, but you never know. Like you get in there, and teams are looking. If they're spending a lot. There's been plenty of guys that ended up, as undrafted free agents, and end up working their way out, and being a player and being a contributor, and spending some time in the league. So there's a lot of different paths. It doesn't mean it's over for any of those guys. Jamon Green could easily be somebody that could be a part of the New York Giants football team for the next few years. So good luck to all of them.
That's right.
All right, Scar, how about some video? You want to pop that up there?
Okay, as I'm working on this, Denny.
Yeah.
Why don't we just it's going to take me a second to get this going. Just a couple quick thoughts on Deion, because there's more stuff going on. I hate to keep beating this up, but you got to remember, I'm a former high school coach, and I was recruited as a player at one time. And there, people have to understand this: an athletic scholarship, they are legally and technically 1 year renewable scholarships. Okay, it's a 1 year. They could. Let me get back to you here. Let me just finish this thought, then we'll change to the screen. Danny, a college could legally tell you at the end of 1 year, goodbye, we're not renewing your scholarship. They could legally do that, which Deion is doing in Colorado. They can legally do that. The problem is you will never be able to step foot into another high school again if that's what you're doing, because nobody is doing that. Now, we've always heard about guys running guys off, making things difficult for them. they'll, like I said, people will maybe not give you many reps, or not, just pretend you're not even there, ignore you, not develop you, just pretend you're not there and make things miserable for you. Put you at the last string, give you no reps, whatever. But I just wanted to voice this because it's really disturbing. I'm keeping it real with you. If I was, because I know damn well there ain't no schools in the Big Ten that are cutting guys after 1 year. So if I got a player that's getting recruited and Colorado's one of those teams, I would go to that kid's parents and I would say, listen, I'm telling you right now, I am not signing off on going to play for that guy because he's cutting guys after 1 year. So that's basically, I just think it's suicide. I think it's wrong. And I just had to voice it because I see what he's doing. And it's a high school coach would be crazy to send one of his players there. And you better inform those parents. Listen, if I had 1 year left, if I was a grad transfer and I had 1 year left, that's when you go play for Deion, because what do you got? You got 1 year. You're done. But not if I was a freshman, and not if I was a kid recruiting out of high school. So I just had to voice it because it was bugging me, and there it is.
Yeah, well, what I think Coach Prime's answer would be is that he's keeping it real, Scar, and you already mentioned it. Deion would say, hey, let's not beat around the bush. Other teams are running guys off. I'm just being upfront with them, and I'm telling them. I'm telling everybody right across the table. Everybody else is doing it below the table. Coach Prime is keeping it above the table. And the college is just like pro now, and it's about the money. And Deion right now is just telling everybody, yeah, I'm running everybody off. I'm cutting people. I'm keeping it real. This is the way to go.
I get it, Denny. I just had to voice it. I
know, Eddie. I know. I'm glad.
I don't think Mel or Harbaugh or Kirk Ferentz or Franklin or any of our guys are doing that. So they might make it difficult for guys, but I just don't think they're in your face. You're cut. Let's move on. Let's look at some good stuff. Let's look, Denny. Do you have me on film here now?
Yeah. There you are.
All right, we're going to look at the fourth quarter now. Some more young guys getting reps. I just want to point out, sometimes little things that the offenses do, how it just totally screws up a defense. Just moving the back from this side to this side, it changes things. And here's Bennett again down here doing some things. So we're on the goal line, but I just like Bennett's punch, toughness. They end up scoring here. But sometimes, see, this is, Denny, these are the things that as a coach and as a defensive player, this little switch like this, it changes things for the defense, and you've got to be smart enough to make the adjustment quickly as a defensive football player. Because believe me, this changed some things for somebody on defense, and you have to be able to look how long you got to make that decision. You got about a second and a half. Anyway, again, I like Bennett down here. I like his punch. He's a fifth guy that's going to give us depth at that position.
Number 52 coming out of spring, Keyshawn Bennett. I think anytime we talk about Michigan over the summer and their edge guys, you'll go through the 3-4 guys. But then Keyshawn Bennett should be mentioned, as we have watched this tape enough to see that he has forced his way into the conversation.
Yeah, he's a fifth guy in the mix. Danny, we talked about the fullback position, tight end, fullback, Jim Harbaugh. This now I don't have watch what happens here with this formation. We've got a tight end, big Klein here, and now he puts him in motion, and now he's lined up where a fullback is. What Jim Harbaugh did for many years, and he's just blocking like a fullback. So I like seeing multiple guys, multiple tight ends that we have, because our tight ends take a lot of wear and tear. So this is good. He's playing like a fullback, blocking in there, Franklin did some good things later in this fourth quarter, the young running back 34. So he's another guy that's going to give us some depth there, Denny. How's the static? Is there a little bit of static?
I hear it, but nobody's saying anything. So maybe let me ask the people, does Scar's mic sound absolutely perfect, or is it a little tinty? Because it's a little tinty to me, and it's fine. I can handle it. So, okay. But if people can't hear it, that's right. Great. So let's
move on then. Let's offensive line.
You sound good, Scar. Let's go.
Okay. Offensive line. They pick up a stunt here. And again, with 99, He's going to give us some good depth there. And QB wheels. So a little stunt here. Offensive line picks it up. Gentry down here on the bottom at guard. And anyway, this is good to see Davis Warren having a little bit of athletic ability, and making a throw. So, we want to, again, Danny, I keep beating it up, but if I'm coaching Michigan, the biggest concern I have is who's the backup quarterback. So we want to see more and more stuff like this from Davis Warren. We want to see Orgy develop. We want to feel good about the Indiana transfer. So let's take a look here. What do I got? I got a guy circled. We didn't adjust. We didn't adjust to this coverage. And I'm trying to see who that is down there up at the top there. This is just this is a mental mistake. You can talk about the receiver being a great receiver, but no one's covering him. Mental mistake. Who's the guy making the mental mistake? And who is that right there? Which one? Number one is that?
Number 3.
Yeah, it could have been Saab. It could have been, but it's a mental mistake. We don't want to see it.
But that's Deion Sanders. You're right.
Okay.
Good job.
O'Leary catching the ball. So let's take a look here. Full back again. We've got the same type of deal here. We got a tight end here. I like these two inside guys. Michigan has done a good job coaching the technique here. Just 2 bricks, no movement. That's good technique. They get 1 yard maybe, but again, we're doing the same things with the tight end, leading him through like a fullback. And now we don't put him in motion. We just line him up here as a tight end, but because he's off the ball, he can lead through like a fullback. So, again, we play with fullbacks. We just have 80 numbers on them or 17 number on them. But again, I was trying to see, Denny, who's this other defensive tackle in here? Because I think that's good. 99 is one,
99
right?
99 is good. Yep, I see him.
Who is this here? I can't see that number. Is that 92? That might be Ike.
Yeah, that does look like 92.
Well, anyway, that's
Iwana.
I like this punch. If that's Ike, that's good news because I like that punch. And come off the dang thing, come off the block. But he's a young kid, and you want to see how these guys are developing. Again, here's more Stewart, more problems for him, and here's number 1. So just Stewart all day long, giving people problems. This looks like Walker down here, a little better job on his coverage. He's going to continue to get better. He's got to know where he is. You're on the goal line. You can play a lot tighter than if you are, on the 50-yard line. So he'll learn that. But again, more pressure from Stewart. We know that. That is a great thing. Springtime, you want to work on all your stunts. You want to see how smart these guys are. You got to work on everything. So here's some more of our stunt packages. We're going to drop a nose. We're going to drop an edge player. We're going to bring 2 linebackers and a safety here. And we don't get it protected real well by Franklin here. So we're bringing the house, executed gap sound. I like how we bring the pressure. It's executed properly. And so the defense executes the stunt properly. We're not getting the kind of block we need from our running back. Michael Hartle would not be happy with Franklin's effort here. That's not going to get it done. Everybody's protecting. The line is protecting the running back. This is how you get stay on the bench as a running back. Fumble the ball and do this stuff. That's how you stay next to Coach Hart. Anyway,
what's he doing? He's not moving his feet. He's lunging at him with his hands. I mean,
well, you gotta feel it. You gotta, obviously, what is he keying here? He probably has a gap he's responsible for, but this is an exotic stunt, a unique stunt. He's got to know where does he fit in. So let's see. Yeah, he just feels it late. Anyway, nice job by Davis Warren. Throw and catch. Good tackle here. I'm drawing a blank on number 12 there, but that's a nice tackle.
Cody Jones.
Nice. Yeah, he did some good things. Young kid did some good things. Again, here's 2 bricks in there. Good and big Grant. We want to see great technique. That's the first thing we saw, Denny. I saw when Mike McDonald came over, was the better job we did teaching technique for our inside defensive linemen. The Mike McDonald mentor, the whole philosophy, the technique is better. We teach it better. We don't get knocked out of there. You're not moving Michigan 1 technique and 3 techniques because these guys are coached. And here we are with a little stunt coming off the edge. We do this at times. A lot of people don't protect the edge because they're not worried about it if you're coming straight inside run like that. But we get some pressure off the edge, penalty somewhere. But anyway, continued good inside interior defensive line play. But, sometimes, Denny, you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong. It's a back and forth. Here's Atterbury, 74, did some real good things later in this game. And here's Grant getting his pad level too high. So 78 pad level, the offense wins this time. It's all about one guy getting too high. Here's one guy's good. Good is good over here, 99, but Grant is too high. And they drive him into Washtenaw Avenue. Or Stadium Boulevard. What's back there, Danny?
That is Stadium.
The golf course.
Yeah, into the golf course.
That's what my coach used to say. What are you defending, Stadium? You defending the golf?
Sending them into Briarwood.
There you go. Anyway, Big Grant is too high. He's on roller skates, and he's you got to have pad level, man. It's a game of leverage. Okay, this is the stuff that Coach Harbaugh, Coach Campbell, all Michigan wants to see. This is what we want to see. We want to see number 10 throw the football. This is the stuff the opponents don't want to see. Here's this young kid, 82 more, supposed to be in high school, but this is the stuff that we want to get. Just a nice little pass, accurate pass.
Ooh.
Make them defend Alex Orji's ability to throw the football. Because we know he's a hell of an athlete and can run. So this is the stuff. This gets your coach sleeping at night, the Michigan coaches. So it's a beautiful throw, beautiful catch, good stuff.
Yeah, you know what, Scar? I don't know what Davis Warren and Jack Tuttle, I know they have the experience, and Orji, the other 14 practices, but if we were just basing it on to this game, the way the other guys weren't able to take care of the ball and the way that Orji played and was able to take care of the ball, if the first game was next week, I would have Orji as my number 1 backup.
Yeah, Denny, again, they seen 15 practices. We see this. Anyway, this is jet sweep with this is Samaj Morgan, another kid supposed to be in high school. So you can see the athletic ability. I like the blocking out here. 88 and 28, Hall and Hibner. So we're going to run jet sweep. Again, jet sweep is a problem, man. It's a good play. We fake. See, we're faking power away. Quarterback power away. This is in the playbook with Orji in the game. So you got jet going this way, and you got quarterback power going this way. So the defense has to honor, quarterback power to this side of the field still. This is why this is a problem. This is a headache for a defensive coach. But the kid makes something out of nothing here, and it's blocked pretty decent there. I like I like seeing running backs that'll block. I like seeing tight ends that'll block. And that's a good scheme. That scheme is tough to defend, Danny.
Yeah, it is.
And you that's why you want quarterbacks that can run. So you got quarterback power one way. They're taking a look at this pass again. Again, nice throw by Orji, and that is good. That is good that the opponents see that. Harb's best play. This is Jim Harbaugh's best play from San Diego to Stanford to the 49ers. We're going to block down and pull a couple guys from power play. So we block it. We pick up yards.
That's Jim Harbaugh right there.
I mean, this is the Jim Hart. This is hit. So we're running now. We're faking jet. We're faking jet, and we're running power with the running back though. So we got jet coming this way. The defense has to honor. Some of the defense has to honor jet here, and we're running power. And El Hadi will come out and pull, man. He's a good-looking guard. 61, Denny, look him up. Didn't get a lot of work, but he's, showing some athletic ability here as a tackle. But that's Jim Harbaugh's first play he puts in probably the first day of practice. Is power.
Funny thing about that 61 that you called a tackle, they have him listed as a tight end. You wanted to know who the Honingford was going to be? They got a kid out of Muskegon, North Muskegon, named Noah Stewart, 6'7", 283, listed right there. That might be your Joel Honingford.
Okay, so he's wearing a 61 in this scrimmage, though.
Yeah, and there's only 61 on. There's only 161 on the roster, and it's a kid Stewart.
Okay, well maybe he'll have an 80 on him in the fall. Anyway, here's Morgan again. So this is good to see this kid in the game. Young kid. It's a decently thrown ball. We don't make the play. I just like seeing that they're working with this kid. He's got they got some, we might see him in the fall, man. So maybe guys like him are reasons Henny left. Because they're saying, look, we see him getting more clock. So here's 58 again pulling, and again we're going to switch the strength. These little things give headaches to the defense. What did that change? Maybe somebody was out of their gap now. Maybe this little shift, Denny, it could have created a problem that somebody is now out of their gap, but we block it well. There's the young freshman, 83. His kid's supposed to be in high school too up here. He's doing a decent job, but Bennett's kind of launching him here. But I like El Hadi pulling up in there. Well-blocked play. Young back, securing the football. Very good. Here we go. Here's a touchdown. Weakness of man. Crossing routes. Every Michigan fan knows about the Don Brown era. Crossing routes. So Michigan's in man coverage. 15 has got 89. But this is why I want tight ends that can block, Denny. This formation right here with 89 down here. You got to defend run over here. I got run threat. We got to defend run threat. This is not an imposter tight end. This is a guy that we could run behind. So the defense has to honor it. It's 3rd and goal. Could be a run. They could run the football here. But these are the things that make it more difficult. So now we run the crossing with the tight end, and the linebacker gets caught up in the wash. This is really tough for him. All this stuff coming at him.
Wow.
I mean, anybody could have thrown that pass. That's he's throwing much. He'll be asked to do much more difficult things than that. But you got to look at the whole package here, the formation, the tight end's ability to block, and what is the defense thinking? The defense has to honor all this stuff, the run play here. So I like the package. Nice job, nice scheme. Put the defense in a bind. Here's number 1 again, and here's 0 down here. Here's Clemens. So he's going to be a guy we're going to count on. Good break. I just want to keep seeing him. Walker get better, more confidence, more reps. Which quarterback is that? Looks like Davis Warren again. So, little short pass, but here's this kid 50, Denny. Hasn't gotten a lot of reps. I think he's a senior now. I'm sorry. Can you look him up? But
Jerome Nichols out of Belleville, Michigan.
He did some good things, man. He gets in here. In this scrimmage. I don't know. Maybe he's a guy that might give us some more depth there. It's a position that's really full of a lot of depth this year. But anyway, this is a nice play by him. Kid out of Belleville comes up and steps up and makes a tackle there. So Good to see depth. Yeah, there he is, Nichols. I'm sorry, Danny. There he is, Nichols.
Look at you, illustrated it.
There he is. All
I'm
right,
gonna
here
add
we go. What do we got here? Quarterback and O'Leary. I got these guys circled. You know, it's just a weakness of the defense. I think this is a too deep coverage, and you know you got to be. But I think you probably got to get a better jam. So who is that right there? Is that Amarian again? Can you tell what corner that is?
Yeah, number 1, Amarian Walker.
Okay, so he's got to get a better jam. If you're going to play this coverage, you got to try to help.
Get your hands on him.
Yeah, because you got to say if you're going to play too deep, whatever, you know, if you're asking him to get here, you got to give this guy a little help. So that's how they're coaching that up, and he's got to do a better job jamming them.
Yeah, he didn't jam it at all.
Yeah, he didn't jam it. You know, again, you know, it just takes reps, man.
Yeah,
it takes reps. So they're going to coach that up. Yeah, that's a BS jam. That's not very good. So here's another stunt. We're dropping an edge player, bringing guys. This is what Michigan does. Let's see how we execute it. A little stunt. And, you know, this is a well-thrown ball. You know, he's covered fairly decently, you know, back shoulder. I just, again, like nice seeing a quarterback that can make something happen. They get him off his spot. He has to move a little bit. He throws it on the back shoulder, and, you know, there's some communication there to be able to know that was where he was going to be looking for it. But that's good. I want to see depth from the quarterback. We want to see competition there, man, that all of them can play. Here's number 1 down here. Let's see how he does here. So he got to know how much he had a couple holding penalties in this game, but he'll get better. 34, running hard, know your gap, deep. What am I talking about here? Let's see.
He ends up in the back of the end zone.
We don't fill the right gap. Linebacker, I just talked about how good he was, and now he doesn't fill the right gap. He should be filling right here. Where are you going? Wrong gap. And then I don't understand how they coach this. You know, I used to go back and forth as a coach with my defensive back coaches, and some of these, you know, if you're on the 3-yard line, the 4-yard line, why are we so deep? Get up in here, man. And so anyway, we're not sound here, but I like the physicalness of Franklin. You know, he gets the ball and he hammers it in there. He runs his safety right over. So, you know, Franklin is another kid in that talented backfield. What year is Franklin, Denny?
Senior.
Okay, well, maybe he has another year because Donovan and Corum could be gone. Who knows? You know, so, but he did some pretty good things.
He doesn't have another year. Maybe, you know, sometimes he's a grad guy, but you know, when they have the pandemic, you know, there's always a chance.
Yeah, he's got to learn to know where he is, and he just loses track. So that's a touchdown, and they're celebrating. Good stunt versus empty. I like these kind of stunts versus empty. And sometimes, Denny, this stuff is called, okay, you know, now he was here in the backfield. Again, this is the stuff defensive players have to be able to do. They may have went to this stunt as soon as you got motion. You follow me? Now, how much time do you have to make that decision? You follow me? How quick you got to make that decision?
Pretty quick.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, this is why guys don't play many times, because they can't make the adjustment fast enough. And then the whole defense is screwed up. But anyway, I like these stunts, this kind of stunt against empty. You'll see some crossing in here because that botches it all up. You follow me? Quarterback draw. Because people like quarterback draw out of empty. So now you run these kind of stunts, you know, and now we blow it up. Here's Bennett coming underneath. You know, the offensive line can't block it like a regular draw. And here's Moore. He's going to have a great year. Number 8 at the top coming off this thing. Bennett coming off. So anyway, I wanted to point it out that sometimes those are quick adjustments that have to be made. Bennett again, inside stunt. Not very good protection here. So
I would have thought, Scar, that a stunt would be something that could be dangerous against
empty formation.
An empty, because Like if you're running and if you're in your lane, then you have the responsibility, to either side to the quarterback. But if you start stunting, and guys get pushed over a little bit, it seems like that could make a lane for your QB there that could end up to be a big gainer.
Well, if you have guys rushing up into their gap, upfield into their gap, they're going to rush their gap. If you're not stunning, okay, he's rushing out here, he's rushing out here, he's rushing in here, and he's going to rush outside the guard. The offensive line knows that.
Right.
The quarterback knows that. So he knows there's a gap right here. He knows that if they just rush their gap. Okay. And he also knows there's going to be a gap here if this guy stays in the A gap. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Okay, so the quarterback knows if you're just going to vanilla pass rush me, that there's two gaps that are not manned that I can step up to if you're going to run quarterback draw. Now, this was the motion, right? Oh, no. Okay, well, anyway, but if you stunt, now the quarterback doesn't know which gap is open. You follow me?
Yeah.
Anyway, we can beat that up forever. Danny, let's go get back to you here. Can you see me?
I can. I see you. You're right there on the screen. You look great.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the big screen that I had on you earlier, Scar. Everybody can take a look at it. Whoa, that's a little bit close. I took some notes here. I got the Scar notes. There's 52. Keyshawn Bennett, 99. Cam Good, 92 is Ike. Iwana. And then you had Nichols down, and then he had his spot where he didn't do so hot.
Well, I stood next to 92. 92 is a big man. So I'm not sure what year he is, but hopefully he can develop. He did, he did some things in there and, keep getting better. But, Danny, that's it for the spring game. And I know people are very interested in recruiting, as I am too. But I sometimes we don't take a close enough look at some of these guys to really take a good look at how they're developing as players, because we don't see them in the game. And this was like one of the only opportunities we had to really see all these kids that, we get excited when we recruit them. Well, let's see how Barry's doing, the kid from California. Let's see how some of these guys are developing. So that's why I wanted to take a good look at the spring game.
Well, and the couple of guys that you mentioned there, Cam Good comes in as a transfer. He was out there for a few snaps last year, but not a whole lot. But when you watch him here in the spring game, a year in the system, you really see how he could be an important piece on the defensive line, a rotational piece in there. And then these other guys that you're talking about with 92, Ike Iwanu, we haven't heard a whole lot from him, but he's been here and now he's getting his chance. And the same thing with Keyshawn Bennett, if people just watched the spring game and then they didn't listen to Jesse Minter and they didn't listen to you, Scar, talking about, hey, Bennett made a little bit of a move, had a nice spring game, at least keep him in mind. People might be thinking, what about the depth at edge?
Yeah, because Danny, when you're a coach, okay, if you just got four guys that can play on the edge and you don't have confidence in your fifth guy, okay, you have a rotation. You'd like to rotate your top four guys, maybe every 4 plays, whatever it is you want to do. And that keeps guys fresh. You can play them on special teams, whatever. Okay, but now if you got one of them hurt, okay, now you only got 3, and your fifth guy is he's not stepping, he's not at that level. But I firmly believe we have 5 good interior 2 guys and 5 good outside edge guys. So we have, we got good depth, and they've shown it in the spring. And Minter said the exact same things I said, and he's seeing it the same way. So,
and Mark's talking like you. Good. He's got some quality reps in goal line last year. He noticed. Scar, you mentioned.
I saw. He's right, but he didn't look really good. He looks better this spring than he did, I think, in the game. So maybe the weight room and learning the technique better and learning what we're doing, and a year older, and hopefully what we're seeing in the spring, that's what we're going to see in the fall.
Agreed. If he would have moved on, I wouldn't have said a whole lot. And then I watched him in this game. It's 99 made you take notice. You mentioned recruiting a little while ago. You want to know about the latest in recruiting. We want to see you on the Maize and Blue Review. Join up today. You know what's going on in recruiting, football, basketball, portal stuff all the time, right up to date. Go to michigan.rivals.com to get that done. Josh Henschke, Trevor McHugh, these guys are waiting for you over there. They got the information. They're ready to give it over to you. And they are waiting to see you. Gary wants you to jump in as an assistant with the team, Scar. I know there's over the years you've had your opportunities. You had your opportunities, and Scar, I'm pegging you for the World Series of Poker. Coming up.
I think that's a little better, Danny. I don't know if people know this. Okay, I remember having a conversation with Jack Harbaugh when I was still in college, and he was coaching. And I didn't know really what I wanted to do, this, that, or whatever. But he was talking about college football coaching. This is the advice. This is what he told me. I never forgot what he told me. He said, Scar, if you're going to go into college coaching, you just can't like football. You just can't love football. He said, you can't live without it because it is your life. These guys during the season, they are literally, I'm guessing 6:30, 7 a.m. until 9, 10 o'clock at night every day. Spring ball, same thing. Recruiting, in the intense recruiting period, the hours these guys put in is unbelievable. And it isn't just Michigan. That's what they do, man. You hear these stories about these guys sleeping in their office. I mean, look, I did a lot as a high school coach, and a lot of high school coaches do, but this is a whole nother level. So, no, you're not going to see Scar, there's, coaching. It's just, it's a lot, man. You got to be ready for that lifestyle.
Wow, 6:30 in the morning, getting home at 9 o'clock at night. Well, Michigan has been up at night, and they got up early, and they have been looking at the spring transfer portal. And here's some news that came out in the last 24 hours, and it is with a player from Louisiana Lafayette, a corner who put his name at the last second into the transfer portal. His name is Trey Amos. Now, I had never heard of him before. 6'1", close to 200 pounds. But when you look at the teams that have offered Amos since the weekend, in addition to Michigan, Florida, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, many others, people want this kid. They like what he can do. And this seems to be a kind of a sweepstakes to see who ends up getting Amos. I was just thinking about it for a second, looking at this, and I don't know, but if you had to just ask me today, I would say keep an eye on Florida, because Billy Napier, the head coach for the Gators, I believe was at Louisiana Lafayette for the Raging Cajuns. And so he would have a relationship with Amos. I don't know if it's any good or whatever else, but that's at least something, a tie-in to the corner. So that's why I would say keep an eye on Florida. But Michigan, as we know, and as we've talked about, that cornerback 2 position could be a spot that they're looking for somebody like this. If you look like, you think you could have a bona fide starter, then, the possibility is out there that Michigan, they're at least kicking the tires. They're interested.
Yeah, I'm not sure what state the kid grew up in, but the fact that we're right there with Alabama and these people and, LSU, and, we'll see what happens, man. So it's good. We're right there with the top people.
That's it. Scar, I want to take you back to the beginning. It was something that you said this weekend. It was a great weekend for Michigan. And Andres was asking a question early on. He says, what do you think of Coleman and Thorne leaving? Keon Coleman, who I know you liked from Michigan State. That's, he was the big wide receiver that gave Michigan some problems in the first half. And then Peyton Thorne, who was a 2-year starter and looked like he was the starter out of spring ball. At least that's what the reporters thought watching MSU. Both of these guys leaving. What's it say about MSU?
Well, let's just start with Coleman. Coleman is a big-time player. He's a kid that I would imagine darn near everybody in America would want. I mean, he's a problem. He's a threat. His situation could be like Hunter Dickinson. He's looking for a payday, and we can't blame the kid. He might be a highly marketable NIL kid. That might be so. We can't always assume that it's the culture. Some of these kids, who knows what's going on at home with that kid, with his parent. Maybe he needs to try to help out his family out somehow, and you can't blame him. So I don't know if that's the case, but I think he's a hell of a player. I'm glad I hope he stays in the portal and goes somewhere else. Not even get out of the Big Ten, because he's a hell of a player. Peyton Thorne, listen, I was a starter coming back for a fifth year, and sometimes you don't hear the things you want to hear, from the coach. He might tell you, hey, I don't care that you were the starter for 2 years. Maybe Mel had a tough conversation with the kid that the kid didn't like. And I want to talk about. I got it on the notes here, Danny, to talk about Michigan State, because I went over their scrimmage a little bit. Maybe he had a tough conversation with Mel, and Mel said, listen, we got this kid, Noah Kim, and the other guy, Hauser. Okay, those are highly recruited kids. Hey, Thorne, we cannot commit right now that you're the guy. It is a competition with 3 quarterbacks, and we understand what you've done, but we are not committing right now in April that you're the guy. Or May, whatever it is. So maybe he didn't like hearing that. Okay, so it might not be a cultural thing. It might just be that, hey, Mel is saying, look, man, we were 5-7. You were the quarterback. Maybe I got to make some changes. And I'm not guaranteeing nothing here. And he had hurt feelings coming out of that meeting. And I understand it, because there's a lot of guys that I know that have had that kind of conversation. You think you're this, that, or whatever, and the coach is like, the hell with you. You got to keep proving it, man. But anyway, I want to continue on Michigan State. So that's my thought on that. I don't know that it reflects culture, right? Some people might look at it like, hey, Mel has a culture that says you got to earn it every day. If Jim Harbaugh did that, we just lost Cade McNamara for the same kind of reasons. You know what I mean? Was Cade McNamara left? He had hurt feelings, man. Is that a sign of culture that Jim Harbaugh? It says that hey, man, everybody competes every day. So I'm not ready to start blowing up Michigan State's culture yet, but I think Michigan State's offensive coach Jay Johnson is good. He's back. They're problematic. They do stuff that is problematic. I think people saw his second year this past year, and they figured some things out. I'm thinking he's going to do some more creative things. I just think the guy's tough to defend. I think their defensive coordinator is pretty good. I was watching what they do. I don't think they have the kind of talent Michigan has, though, or some of the best defensive talented teams. They haven't recruited as well defensively. But they got a good running back. The Barger kid is good. Mangum is coming back. They got good running. That Barger is good. The kid that was at Wisconsin, he's every bit as good as our running backs. I can't say we have a huge advantage at the running back position. But I hope Thorne leaves. I like the idea of going against young guys. We'll see him game 6 or something. So I'd rather go against Noah Kim or this Hauser kid than Peyton Thorne. So that's my thoughts on that. They've got a big tight end they brought in from Boise. He looked okay. Malik Carr is a transfer, big tight end, former bat. He's a good-looking athlete. He's a problem to cover, very average blocker. I think their offensive line, I think we really out-coach them and out-recruit them at the offensive line position. When I watch Michigan State, I think we do a better job coaching our guys, and I think we've recruited better. The front 7 on both sides of the ball, I think we've recruited better and we developed better than these guys. But it's going to be tough going to Michigan State, man. You go on the road, you play these assholes. I'm sorry, I swore, Denny. I tried, but it is what they are. I'm sorry. Anyway, I saw them. I sized them up. We got to have a great scheme. I hope Thorne is gone. I hope Coleman's gone. I see the defensive back came back, right? Brantley came back. So It's a winnable game, but it'll be a tough game to win on the road. But we just, secure the ball, do our thing. That was my Michigan State. Michigan State's got a couple good players on defense, but I just think their defensive line talent and the recruiting is, I think we've done a much better job there.
Yeah, I hear you. Out of all the things that you said there, I Berger seems like he's a decent back and everything, but I don't think he's in the same category. I'd put him as a step down to Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. I'm not sure he would be, he might be a top 10 back in the Big Ten, maybe, but I don't think I don't think he would get any time at Michigan. But that's me.
I think he's tough. He's elusive. He's a physical kid. Anyway, we'll see.
How about going over the Lions, Scar? They've got maybe that schedule will fit you a little bit better. NFL guys.
Denny, I know guys. Some of my buddies, they coach college for many, many years, and then they coach pro, and they'll never go back to college because of the time commitment and the recruiting. Pro football is a whole nother deal, man. They're not putting that kind of time in.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, college, it is a year-round thing. In pro, it's not quite that much. But to get into the pros at the beginning, at the entry level, you probably are putting in, I don't know if it's 6 a.m, 9 o'clock at night, but you're putting a hell of a lot of time in. Maybe it evens out a little bit when you get a little bit higher up. But, you mentioned John Gruden. He always talked about having his assistants. Those guys, Gruden was in there 4:30 in the morning, slept in his office, and I think he asked a lot of his coaches to do the same thing.
Hey, they're all doing that, Danny. You got to look at film. The big thing is the film. You got to look at the film to find the little. You can look and look and look at film, and then you find that one thing. You find that one tell, that one offensive lineman that is doing something with his splits, with his stance. They can tell you run or pass, or they can tell you where they're running, or what. You just got to keep looking at the film, and to give your players the edge. That's why you look at all that. That's why it takes so much time, is trying to figure out what the hell the guy's doing. If you don't look at the film, you just it's tough.
You're guessing.
You're cheating your team.
Well, Scar, I saw that today that since Michigan last played and until the opener, September the 2nd, we're right at the middle. How many ever days have passed? And now we can say that we're closer to the opener than they were from the last game that they played against TCU. Today was that day. Give or take a few hours, however you're counting it down or whatever else. So we're on our way. May's a little bit different. When you get Michigan football, May and June and July, those 3 months, a little bit different. People getting, counting down the days, missing the Wolverines.
We're going to take a close look at the Nittany Lions. Take a look at their spring game. Take a look at their talent and break it down a little bit. So that'll be what we'll look at next week.
I can't wait. Scar, thanks for coming on, as always, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Go Blue!
There he is, Jim Scar.